You've read Genesis, right? And you know how messy the love lives and family situations of the founding fathers are? Welcome to a video called, Wow, I'm glad my family doesn't look like that. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob all had interesting dynamics in their families with their wives. Multiple. And we noticed some trends in the family line as well. Dad did this or allowed this, so I will do this or allow this also. I was a mama's boy, and now my wives control my life the way my mom did. We also see some things that are just a bad idea to do in a marriage, like having a child through another woman that you really think is going to be your own. Let's get into it. We'll go back to Noah. The flood has just happened, humanity is restarting, and Noah has 3 sons, one of whom just discounted himself for laughing and making fun of his naked and drunk father. Noah, a man of the soil, proceeded to plant a vineyard. When he drank some of its wine, he became drunk and lay uncovered inside his tent. Ham, the father of Canaan, saw his father naked and told his 2 brothers outside. But Shem and Japheth took a garment and laid it across their shoulders. Then they walked in backward and covered their father's naked body. Their faces were turned the other way so that they would not see their father naked. Dad, don't get drunk and pass out naked, it's embarrassing. Kid, don't shame your father. Man just carried you all through a humanity-ending flood. He's probably having a rough time right now. When Noah woke from his wine and found out what his youngest son had done to him, he said, "Cursed be Canaan. The lowest of slaves will he be to his brothers." He also said, "Praise be to the Lord, the God of Shem. May Canaan be the slave of Shem. May God extend Japheth's territory. May Japheth live in the tents of Shem, and may Canaan be the slave of Japheth." Abram comes from Shem's line. Abram had 2 brothers named Nahor and Haran. Haran became the father of 2 daughters, Milcah and Iscah, and a son named Lot, who we will not be talking about. Nahor married his brother's daughter, Milcah, and Abram married his half-sister Sarai. Clean. Sarai was childless because she could not conceive. This is a trend in the wives or main wives of the patriarchs. God does eventually give the word for them to conceive, but their children are all on God's timing. The Lord says to Abram, "Go from your country, your people, and your father's household to the land I will show you. I will make you into a great nation, and I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and whoever curses you I will curse, and all peoples on earth will be blessed through you." So Abram set out from the land of Haran with his wife Sarai and his nephew, Lot, and they made it to Canaan. There's one little tidbit here in Genesis 12:6, which says Abram traveled through the land as far as the site of the great tree of Moreh at Shechem. How big was this tree? There are other mentions of great trees that Abram settled near. How big were these biblical trees? Are we talking cedars the size of redwoods? I need to know more about this post-flood biblical landscape. The Lord appeared to Abram. Yes, the Lord himself appeared. I don't know if he does this in the flesh, like he does at least once with Abram, or if he appeared in spirit or something, but he does this a few times with Abram. And says, "To your offspring I will give this land." So Abram built an altar there to the Lord, and then he sets out to the Negev. When a famine occurs in the land, they go to Egypt because it's so severe, and there Abram starts a running joke that he likes to play on the local authorities, called, "She's just my sister, I promise." Right before they enter Egypt, Abram said to his wife Sarai, "I know what a beautiful woman you are. When the Egyptians see you, they will say, 'This is his wife.' Then they will kill me, but will let you live. Say you are my sister, so that I will be treated well for your sake, and my life will be spared because of you." You don't know for certain what will happen. Also, God has promised you absurd amounts of offspring, which you kind of need your main wife Sarai for legitimacy reasons. I would be so mad if I was Sarai. For a lot of reasons, but in this specific case, no, I'm not lying to people about you being my husband, Abram, especially because we know why these men would be asking that. Am I a joke to you? Coward. Pharaoh's officials tell Pharaoh that this fine lady has entered the kingdom, and Pharaoh takes Abram's wife into his palace, and Abram is treated very well for this sweet accessory he's brought Pharaoh. But the Lord inflicts serious disease on Pharaoh's household because Sarai is Abram's wife. And Pharaoh summons Abram. "What have you done to me?" he said. "Why didn't you tell me she was your wife? Why did you say, 'She is my sister,' so that I took her to be my wife? Now then, here is your wife, take her and go." Then Pharaoh gave orders about Abram to his men, and they sent him on his way with his wife and everything he had. Abram leaves Egypt to the Negev and will travel and settle in a few places. He still has Lot with him, and they need to separate because the land cannot support how abundant they have all become. Other peoples were also settled in this land at the time, the Canaanites and Perizzites. The 2 groups parted ways, and God again makes a promise to Abram. "Look around from where you are, to the north and south, to the east and west. All the land that you see I will give to you and your offspring forever. I will make your offspring like the dust of the earth, so that if anyone could count the dust, then your offspring could be counted. Go, walk through the length and breadth of the land, for I am giving it to you. And Abram went to live near the great trees of Mamre at Hebron, where he pitched his tents. How big were your trees, Mamre the Amorite? Colossal. In chapter 16, it's mentioned that Sarai, Abram's wife, had borne him no children. But she had an Egyptian slave named Hagar. Sarai, don't do it. I know you're heartbroken from a lack of children, but you do not know the grief introducing another woman into your marriage will bring you. She says to Abram, the Lord has kept me from having children. Go, sleep with my slave. Perhaps I can build a family through her. And Abram, for some reason, agrees. I would imagine after these promises from God about many children, they're thinking, where are these kids gonna come from, yeah? And that insecurity or lack of trust in God's ability probably steered Abram toward agreeing. But also in chapter 15, before this happens, when God tells Abram you're going to have a lot of offspring, it says Abram believed the Lord, and it was accredited to him as righteousness, so I have no idea why Abram agreed to this. Of course, when Hagar knew she had conceived, she began to despise Sarai. I am under you, but you gave me to your husband, and now I'm doing the thing you never could. Why would I continue to treat you like you're better than me? Sarai tells Abram it's your fault for this wrong I'm suffering. I think it's everyone's fault. Everyone is at wrong here. Sarai, it was your terrible idea. Abram, why did you agree to your wife's terrible idea? And Hagar is not a victim here either. Maybe initially, because if she's under their servitude, could she really say no to Sarai's plan? But then she catches an attitude towards Sarai. Abram tells Sarai, it's your slave, do what you think is best. So Sarai mistreats Hagar back, and Hagar runs away. Of course. The angel of the Lord finds her near a spring in the desert and asks her, Hagar, slave of Sarai, where have you come from and where are you going? She says, I'm running away from my mistress Sarai. The angel replies, go back to your mistress and submit to her. Also, I will increase your descendants so much that they will be too numerous to count. He adds again, you are now pregnant and will give birth to a son. You shall name him Ishmael. For the Lord has heard of your misery. He will be a wild donkey of a man. His hand will be against everyone and everyone's hand against him, and he will live in hostility toward all his brothers. Not really what you want to hear. My fridge is making noise. I apologize for the fridge noise. I don't know how long it's going to do this. Hagar gives birth to Ishmael, and Abram is 86 years old. When Abram is 99 years old, God tells Abram for like the 4th or 5th time, you're going to have a lot of kids. The Lord appears to him and says, I am God Almighty. Walk before me faithfully and be blameless, something we want to do but seem to have great difficulty with. Then I will make my covenant between me and you and will greatly increase your numbers. Abram falls face down and God continues, in summary, this is our covenant. You will be the father of many nations. Your name is now Abraham and your wife's name is now Sarah. Our covenant is an everlasting one between me and you, your descendants, and the generations to come after. The land of Canaan will be yours, and you and all of your descendants must keep this covenant of circumcision. I am your God, and I am their God also. Circumcision is the physical sign of the covenant between God and Abraham's people, or God's people. Abraham falls face down again, laughs, and says, will a son be born to a man 100 years old? Will Sarah bear a child at the age of 90? If only Ishmael might live under your blessing. God says, yes, I will bless Ishmael, but Sarah will give you Isaac by this time next year, and I will establish this covenant through him. God goes up from Abraham, and Abraham, Ishmael, and every male in Abraham's household are circumcised that day. Later, at the massive, colossal, mammoth trees of Mamre, Abraham is sitting at the entrance of his tent, enjoying the heat of the day. He looks up and sees 3 men standing nearby, God himself and 2 angels. Really cool. This 99-year-old man gets up, beats feet over to them, bows down, and says, if I have found favor in your eyes, my lord, do not pass your servant by. Let a little water be brought, and then you may all wash your feet and rest under this tree. Let me get you something to eat so you can be refreshed and then go on your way, now that you have come to your servant. Very well, they say. So Abraham rushes Sarah to make some quality bread, rushes to his herd, picks the perfect calf, and hands it to his servant who prepares it quickly. Sirens now. There's so much noise happening. Can you hear that? They're eating, and one of the three men asks Abraham where Sarah is and tells him that when he returns to Abraham next year, Sarah will have a son. Sarah's having a little listen to their conversation at the entrance of the tent and laughs when she hears this. The Lord, who is in flesh before Abraham at this moment, again, God in flesh before Jesus Christ, really cool, calls her out to Abraham. Why'd she laugh, man? Yeah, she's old, but I am literally God. Is anything too hard for me? Sarah denies laughing out of fear, and God is like, you did. When the Lord and his two angels get up to leave, God drops on Abraham that he's nuking Sodom. In a really cool conversation, by the way. Can you imagine walking beside God in the flesh, and he asks you, like a friend that truly considers you, shall I hide from Abraham what I'm about to do? Or your name in place of Abraham's? Abraham will surely become a great and powerful nation, and all nations on earth will be blessed through him. For I have chosen him so that he will direct his children and his household after him to keep the way of the Lord by doing what is right and just, so that the Lord will bring about for Abraham what he has promised him. Then the Lord said, the outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah is so great and their sins so grievous that I will go down and see if what they have done is as bad as the outcry that has reached me. If not, I will know. The men turned away and went towards Sodom, but Abraham remained standing before the Lord and bargains with him on Sodom's reckoning, knowing he has family there. Eventually settling on, if there are at least 10 righteous people there, the city will not be destroyed. There were not 10 righteous people in the city. Abraham moved into the region of the Negev, and while he was in Gerar, he said of his wife Sarah, she's just my sister, guys, don't hurt me. And the king of Gerar, Abimelech, takes Sarah because she's beautiful and not taken, apparently. Again, I would be so mad at Abraham. God comes to Abimelech in a dream and says, you are as good as dead because of the woman you have taken. She is a married woman. Abimelech hadn't touched her, so he says to God, Lord, will you destroy an innocent nation? They said of each other, we are siblings. I have done this with a clear conscience and clean hands. God says, yes, I know you did this with a clear conscience, and so I have kept you from sinning against me. That is why I did not let you touch her. Now return the man's wife, for he is a prophet, and he will pray for you and you will live. But if you do not return her, you may be sure that you and all who belong to you will die. Abimelech summons his officials and they're all scared. He then calls Abraham in and asks, why? Abraham says this place is godless, they'll kill me for her. Besides, she really is my sister. I married my half-sister. And when God had me wander from my father's household, I told her, you can show your love to me by telling people I'm your brother, because I'm a coward. Is that rude? I'm sorry. Abimelech gives sheep and cattle, male and female slaves to Abraham, and to Sarah he says, I am giving your brother 1,000 shekels of silver. This is to cover the offense against you before all who are with you. You are completely vindicated. Then Abraham prayed to God, and Abimelech, his wife, and his female slaves were healed so that they could have children again. Because God kept everyone in his household from conceiving while Sarah was there. How long was Sarah there for them to notice they were all infertile? Abraham, how long were you going to leave your wife there? Anyway, Sarah gives birth to Isaac. Isaac gets circumcised at 8 days old, keeping the covenant, and Abraham is 100 years old. It all happens as God said it would. Isaac grew and was weaned, and the day he was weaned, Abraham held a great feast. Ishmael was mocking, so probably making snide comments about it all, and Sarah says to Abraham, that kid that I wanted, that I gave you my slave to make? Yeah, get rid of him and his mom, please. He will share no portion with my precious son Isaac. And Abraham is like, that's my son too. But God says, don't be distressed about the boy and your slave woman. Listen to whatever Sarah tells you, because it is through Isaac that your offspring will be reckoned. I will make the son of the slave into a nation also, because he is also your kid. So Abraham sends them on their way. The boy almost dies. God shows Hagar a well of water. He lives. God is with them, becomes an archer. Mom gets him a wife from Egypt, Ishmael. Sarah dies at 127 years old in the land of Canaan. Abraham is very old, and we are now one of the sweetest love stories in the Bible, which we will continue in the next video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in part 2. God bless.